Hello again. I'm choosing to go straight into the gene key, which is on my love and relationships line in my gene keys profile. And when I saw the shadow, the word is vanity, I definitely felt like someone had given me a really big poke, and it felt very uncomfortable. And I had that instant sense of knowing, oh yes, this is it, this is right. This feels so uncomfortable, this provokes an inner resistance, gotta be spot on. So here we are, the 12th gene key from the book, The Gene Keys, subtitle Embracing Your Higher Purpose by Richard Rudd. I so thoroughly recommend this book, and I recommend the website, which is genekeys.com. Right, so I'm going to look at the shadow. But before I do, it talks about there's a programming partner to this 12th key, which is the 11th. There's a codon ring, which is a ring of secrets, and it includes keys 12, 33 and 56. Just those three together form a very tight ring. The physiology is the thyroid. Well, if there's any part of me that had the slightest doubt this could refer to me, when I saw the word thyroid, done. Goiter, thyroid, bingo. There are no amino acids that relate to this, so I'm going to go straight into the shadow. Vanity, here it is. The final trial. The 12th gene key, along with its shadow and siddhi, is one of the more extraordinary and far-reaching archetypes in the human genetic matrix. In the relationship between this knowledge and genetics, each of the 64 keys has a corresponding chemical family known as a codon in the genetic code. So now you know what codon means. In order to decipher the genetic code, scientists have to find chemical marker points in the mass of coded information that lies in the DNA. And these marker points are known as start codons and stop codons. Punctuation, literally. Such chemical punctuation marks have an unusual place of importance within the totality of our genetic code itself. This 12th gene key, along with the 56th and the 33rd, is related to what science calls the stop or terminator codons. On a purely archetypal level, the three stop codons, known as the Ring of Trials, can be seen as three great mythic trials that test human beings on their road to self-realization. In the 12th shadow of vanity marks the inner core of the Ring of Trials, which means to say this shadow state represents a third and final aspect in this trilogy of human tests. The 12th key is special. Within the mystery of the 21 codon rings, this 12th key forms a ring of its own within the Ring of Trials, known as the Ring of Secrets. However, its secrets remain firmly locked away until you activate this frequency in the 12th siddhi. Vanity, like pride, which is the 26th shadow, follows us to the mountain peaks of consciousness. It is an uncomfortable word for most of us, and in our vanity we do not usually like to associate ourselves with it at all. Unlike pride, which thrives in front of an audience, vanity is more of an internal shadow. Vanity is like the lichens which cling to the rocks of the highest of mountain ranges. No matter how far your awareness advances, vanity will cling subtly to you even at the highest level of vibrations. In one sense, vanity is the very first human vice, and it's also the last of the shadows to let go of you. And of course that happens through embracing its totality. The 12th shadow is the love of your own uniqueness. It's a love of my own uniqueness. Let's own it. It's about learning to love myself, which is the true definition of vanity. However, vanity only stops being vanity when you realize that to love yourself is actually to love everyone else. That's the key here. A revelation demanding a quantum leap out of yourself altogether. This 12th shadow therefore is deeply involved with issues of personal power, as well as the human yearning to express the purest qualities within your soul. It allows you to progress to greater intelligence and artistry, and at the same time it prevents you from stepping into your wider heart. Vanity is afraid that if you come from your heart, you will lose your power. Because it involves the expression of the soul or the heart, this gene key is deeply involved with your ability to connect with the power of your own breath and your own emotions. It's connected to the thyroid and the parathyroid glands, and especially with the human larynx, the prime organ of speech. It is humanity's vertical larynx that sets us apart from the animals. In esoteric lore, it is said that the animals with their horizontal larynxes operate under a group spirit, and the development of our upright larynx allows the introduction of the ego. Indeed, it is this 12th gene key that allows your thoughts to be translated into language and vibration, giving you the illusion that words have independent power. Ouch, giving the illusion that your words are independent power. Out of this concept of independence were born two powerful human attributes, vanity and ego. In the ancient yoga systems, there's a profound connection between the larynx, represented by the throat chakra, and the gonads, representing the sex center. This is also reflected by the rapid growth of the larynx during puberty. The ancients say that long ago, these two centers were in fact one, but over time they separated and the larynx slowly closed. In Dutch, in Netherlands, the word for the larynx is called schildklier, which means shield gland, suggesting the larynx is a protective mechanism concealing a great secret. Interestingly, the word thyroid derives from the Greek word for shield. The great secret of the 12th shadow is language. It is said that in the Garden of Eden, Adam swallowed the apple, which became stuck in his throat and remains there today as the Adam's apple in all men. The Adam's apple represents a masculine principle of the mind that becomes identified with your words, thoughts and actions, and the larynx gives you the illusion of power through language. The 12th shadow is about loving the sound of your own voice, and as such it is the root of language. However, as we will see, at the highest levels of frequency, it is not what you say that matters so much as it is the frequency that lies behind your voice. Vanity can choose the most beautiful of words, but it can never hide the frequency of its tone. It is important to remember here that none of the 64 shadows are inherently bad. This deserves repetition. It is important to remember here that none of the 64 shadows are inherently bad. That's right, none of the 64 shadows are inherently bad. If you declare something as bad or evil, you will miss the gift that lies hidden within it. Vanity is simply the lower frequency of the 12th gene key, and after all, vanity is the foundation of the city of purity. Vanity also goes beyond words, and it can hide in silence. Sometimes your vanity is hidden in what you do not say. It hides away in your thoughts and in your feelings. Wherever there is self-identification, there is vanity. The reason vanity is such a great trial for human beings is because it lies outside the scope of your ego. So you may well be thinking, what can I do about it? How do I transform this shadow state? Well, because this shadow is so elusive, it is better not to think about it at all. I just got to laugh, I love that. Even the very thought that you might be overcoming your own vanity leads to more vanity. Priceless. All you need to know is that as long as you experience yourself as being separate from life, being separate from life, as long as you feel the strength and wonder of your individuality, vanity will still be there, quietly keeping pace with you. It is only late in your evolution, as you approach the highest frequencies of the cities, that vanity will finally and suddenly release its hold upon you. Vanity does, however, have an arch enemy, and the arch enemy of vanity is love. Vanity keeps you from truly loving another because it keeps you isolated. Let's just think about 2020 and 2021 and all that isolation. Could there be a bigger picture behind that? You may be beautiful, intelligent and virtuous, but still with vanity, you will remain defended against others. And there is implicit separation here. The more evolved your consciousness becomes, the subtler and therefore the more powerful your vanity becomes. The more evolved your consciousness becomes, the subtler and more powerful your vanity becomes. Vanity is a shield that, along with its programming partner, the 11th shadow of obscurity, hides the truth from you. For the kind of people who are drawn to reading this material, vanity is one of your great challenges. As you refine your frequency, you naturally fall into the illusion that you are somehow different from others and are becoming purer than the rest of the world. You begin to identify more with your higher self, which your lower self takes great delight in. This is the most tricky time in your evolution because it's so easy for you to remain here at a relatively high frequency. You feel powerful, individuated, wise and well-meaning. However, you have yet to make the greatest leap that there is, the leap into true purity, the leap into your own death. Told you it doesn't pull any punches. So now we examine the repressive nature of vanity. This creates what is called the elitist. There are essentially two different kinds of vanity, coarse vanity and refined vanity. The repressive nature of the 12th shadow is the refined version, which emerges in certain characters as elitism. Elitism is vanity working undercover. These characteristics may agree with you outwardly, but inwardly you feel very differently from what they say. Often they refrain from making any comment at all, preferring to remain detached. This is the domain of the spiritually evolved, those few who've done a lot of work on themselves. These people inwardly feel that they are clearer than most people around them. They can take great pride in being different or being beyond any creed or system. Such vanity ensures that such a person cannot make the leap that their inner being longs for most of all, the leap into permanent higher consciousness. This only begins when the awareness of our own vanity finally dawns upon us. That's repressive nature. The reactive nature is malicious. Malice stems from anger, which in turn stems from fear. The reactive nature of vanity can use the gift of this gene key, the gift of discrimination, as a means of hurting others. Whereas the elitist withdraws into silence out of fear of being seen as weak, these people openly use their substantial vocal gifts to inflict pain on others. Like all classical victim patterns, such people usually feel put upon in some way, and so they react maliciously, lashing out without thinking about the damage their words or actions might do. The 12th key has beneath its real emotional power, I'll say that again, The 12th key has beneath it real emotional power, and it has a God-given talent for language and communication. These people really know how to push other people's buttons through the power of their voice. They can hurt people like no one else can. Their malice may not be premeditated, but it is usually brutal, and it ends in a disaster for them. And that is the end of the shadow of the 12th gene key. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a break, and I'm going to examine how the shadow, fully embracing this awareness, can lead to the development of discrimination, which we then release into the world. So from embracing the shadow of vanity to releasing the gift of discrimination. Thank you very much, and I'll catch you on the next part.